You are here with that familiar heat in your chest, the kind that shows up when you remember how much you cared, how openly you showed it, how deeply you meant it. There's a part of you that flinches now when those memories surface. You replay the moments you were earnest, hopeful, soft, and you feel embarrassed by them, like you exposed something that should have stayed hidden. You wish you had been cooler, quieter, more guarded. You wish you had needed less. You think about the messages you sent, the way you waited for replies, the effort you put in, the space you made for someone who didn't always meet you there. You see yourself from the outside now, and it feels unbearable, like watching a version of you that didn't know what was coming. You call it naive. You call it too much. You call it whatever makes the shame feel justified. There's a strange grief in realizing you cared more than the other person did. It makes you question your instincts, your worth, your ability to read situations. You wonder how you didn't see it sooner. You wonder why you kept showing up when it wasn't being returned. You wonder if you looked desperate, if people noticed, if you embarrassed yourself without knowing. You feel exposed by your own tenderness, like it betrayed you, like it put you in danger. You tell yourself you should have been stronger, you should have pulled back, you should have matched their distance. Now those thoughts echo when you least expect them, in the shower, at night, in quiet rooms. You sit inside this feeling, this mix of regret and self-consciousness. You shrink around it. You imagine what you would change if you could go back. You imagine a cooler version of yourself, someone who cared less, someone who didn't hope so loudly, someone who didn't try so hard. But right now, you're just here, with the memory of how much you cared, with the ache of wishing you had been different. And this is where you're being met. You cared because there is a part of you that reaches for connection without a rule book. You didn't calculate it. You didn't plan how much you would give. It just happened, slowly at first, then all at once. You found yourself listening closely, remembering small details, making space. You showed up in ways that felt natural to you, even when they started to feel uneven. You look back now and cringe at your own openness, at how quickly you trusted, at how easily you said what you felt. You tell yourself you should have played it cooler, you should have waited longer, you should have protected yourself better. But in those moments, you weren't thinking about strategy, you were just being human. You were responding to what you felt in your body, that warmth, that pull, that sense of closeness that felt real at the time. You stayed available, you answered quickly, you made room in your life. You hoped for things without even realizing you were hoping. And now you punish yourself for it, like you committed some social crime by caring too much. Like affection is something you're supposed to ration. You ask yourself quiet questions. Was I too eager? Did I scare them away? Did I make it awkward? Did I give too much too soon? These thoughts come in waves, especially when you're alone. They feel convincing. They make you want to shrink your future self, to promise you'll never be that open again. But you don't talk this way about other people. When someone else cares deeply, you call them kind. You call them sincere. You don't tell them they're embarrassing for wanting connection. You don't tell them to be colder. Somehow, when it's your own story, the compassion disappears. You cared because that's how you move through the world. You notice, you feel, you attach. You don't do it perfectly, no one does. But it came from a real place, a wanting to connect, a wanting to be close, a wanting to be known. That part of you didn't disappear. It's still there, quiet now, watching, waiting to see if it's safe to reach again. Caring like that took more from you than you realized at the time. You didn't notice it while it was happening. You were too focused on showing up, on holding space, on staying open. But slowly, something started to thin out inside you. Your energy drained in small, unremarkable ways. You felt tired, but you didn't connect it to how much you were giving. You just told yourself you were being dramatic again. You began to watch yourself more closely. You edited what you said. You wondered if you were being too much, too intense, too available. You learned how to swallow things before they came out of your mouth. You didn't want to scare anyone. You didn't want to repeat what you now see as your mistakes. So you made yourself smaller without even meaning to. There is a quiet cost to being ashamed of your own tenderness. You start treating it like a flaw, like something to correct. You stop trusting the part of you that feels deeply. You question your instincts. You wonder if you're always wrong about people, if you always misread situations. That kind of doubt creeps in and settles. You carry it in your body. The tension when you think about reaching out again. The hesitation before you send a message. The pause before you share something personal. You feel yourself pull back even when you want to lean in. It's protective, but it's also heavy. You might feel angry at yourself for what you gave, for how much you invested. That anger makes sense, but there is sadness underneath it too. For the version of you that didn't know it would end this way. For the version of you that thought caring was safe. None of this makes you foolish. It shows what you were willing to offer. It shows your capacity to feel. You didn't walk out of that unchanged. No one ever does. You paid for your openness in quiet ways. You just didn't realize you were spending so much at the time. Something shifts now, even if it's hard to see. Not in a loud way, nothing clicks into place. It's more like a tired exhale you didn't know you were holding. The sharp edge of the shame dulls just a little. You still remember how much you cared, but it doesn't sting in the exact same spot anymore. It lands differently, less like an accusation, more like a fact. You notice small pauses where you used to rush to judge yourself. The thoughts still come. You were too much, you embarrassed yourself, you should have known better. But they don't arrive with the same authority. They sound a bit older, a bit worn out. Like they've been saying the same lines for too long, and even they are bored of it now. You catch yourself almost defending your past self, just a little. You remember what it felt like to be in it, how real it was, how sincere. You don't excuse everything. You don't rewrite the story. You just let it be more complicated than shame wants it to be. There is a strange relief in not punishing yourself every time you think about it. You don't call it forgiveness. That feels too big. It's more like fatigue with being cruel to yourself. You're tired of carrying that extra weight. You're tired of adding another bruise to an already sore place. You let the memories pass through without stopping to dissect them. You don't make them mean something about your worth. You don't turn them into a lesson. You just notice them and keep breathing. That's new. Energy comes back quietly. Not excitement, not confidence. Just a little less resistance. A little more room inside your chest. You don't celebrate it. You don't trust it fully. But it's there. A small softening. A tiny break in the wall you built around your own heart. You are here now. Still tender, still human, but not drowning in it the way you were before. The memories are still there. The moments you cared too loudly. The times you reached first. They haven't vanished. They just don't own the whole room anymore. They sit in the corner instead of standing over you. You notice the difference in quiet ways. The way you don't immediately flinch when you remember. The way you don't rush to call yourself embarrassing. You still feel the ache, but you don't turn it into a verdict about who you are. You let it exist without stacking meaning on top of it. You are learning what it feels like to hold your own tenderness without apologizing for it. To admit that caring came from something real, from wanting to connect, from wanting to be close. You don't have to make it heroic. You don't have to make it a mistake. It was just you being you in a moment you didn't control. There are still days when the shame comes back, when you replay things and wish you had been cooler, quieter, less open. That happens. You don't fight it anymore. You don't shame yourself for feeling ashamed. You just notice it and let it move through. You feel steadier here. Not confident, not healed. Just steadier. Like you're standing on your own feet instead of collapsing inward. You don't need to harden yourself to survive. You don't need to pretend you don't feel deeply. You're allowed to be someone who cares. You're not proud. You're not embarrassed. You're just here, breathing, holding your own story without rewriting it. This is where things are clear again.